Hey guys, Jen here. Just wanted to show you, well, not show you, but tell you what just happened to me. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but it's actually quite interesting if you look at it in a different perspective. So as you all know, I broke up with my long-term boyfriend of 4 years, right? It was toxic. He was addicted to alcohol. There was other stuff, that was going on with him that when I was with him, it just wasn't happy anymore, and it just wasn't conducive to a good relationship anymore. So I broke it off, and I was just like, I'm done. So, this whole entire other time after, like, it was last Wednesday, not yesterday, but a week ago Wednesday when I broke it off fully, and then I started thinking about things, and I'm like, okay, I need to raise my vibration somehow. So I started thinking, excuse me, I've been also kind of a little bit sick because of the whole um stress of that, of other things going on and stuff too. So like I needed to raise my vibration so I wouldn't get sick like that too. Um so basically what happened was I'm like, okay, I need to raise my vibration. I need to become happier. I need to not be in this funk anymore. What can I do to get myself out of it? Like I didn't feel like playing my video games. I didn't feel like doing essential oil DIYs. I didn't feel like putting my nail polish on. I didn't feel like listening to music. I was just like in that funk, you know? And I'm like overthinking it. Did I do something wrong? Did I, not do this? And you know how like you played those things in your head. And then I started realizing that he did a lot of manipulation tactics on me, gaslighting, things like that. And then when he called me a narcissist this last time, I was actually kind of laughing when I was there. But then of course you come home and then you kind of miss that person, and then you start thinking, overthinking. Oh, excuse me. And you're just sitting there going, what the heck is going on? Maybe I made a wrong mistake. It was kind of good in certain aspects and stuff. And you start like second guessing it, which is totally not a good idea. Because when you got to go with your gut, you got to go with your gut because it's what is the truth. So then I was talking to a couple other people, and they were actually also telling me that basically what I did was the right thing, that I was in a manipulative relationship, that what I was feeling of not being just and stuff should not be a normal relationship feeling. Like, you should feel, yes, you could have your fights and stuff, but you always feel that, like, okay, your partner is with you most of the time, and they might not agree on everything, but at least you support. Like, when push comes to shove, there's the support there, and not the name calling and the gaslighting and making you feel guilty for certain things that doesn't even involve you and things like that. There were a couple other problems that I came up with before too, but like hearing it from like a third person and stuff, that's when it just hit. Like I was like, you know what? Now I start rethinking it. Now I went back, started looking at my narcissist book that I was reading from one of the other girls that I follow through Hay House. And I was reading it, and I was just like, you know what? This is what this is. Like, for a year after I had come back here, I second guessed myself, and I thought, you know what? Maybe that wasn't what it was. I was just putting something else on there. There are good aspects of him, blah, blah, blah. But it's just he's controlled by something else. Like, for one, if you're not even thinking about the spiritualist aspect of it, his alcohol is controlling him. His addiction to alcohol is first and foremost. And I didn't come first and foremost, even though it should be me. So that was one. If you look at it the spiritual way, it's basically by having the addiction to alcohol and things like that, and overindulging and not owning responsibility, it was a way for negative spirits to latch on. And he's been having this issue for years. And I thought maybe by me being there and that our love might help it. Didn't. I went into it wrong. We both went into the relationship hung up on somebody else anyways. So that was the first red flag I should have known. But I figured I wanted to get out of here. I wanted to get out from underneath Mom and her, I didn't feel like myself anymore when I was here. So that was a way for me to escape. And by escaping, it didn't end up well, right? So anyways, my point is, after that and the breakup last Wednesday, I was getting in the lower vibrations, and I wasn't feeling good. So I'm like, okay, I need to do something to make myself feel better. Sorry, allergies are in the house because the heat's on. And I didn't take my allergy pill. So basically, what happened is I'm like, okay, what can I do to raise my vibration? So I'm like, okay, I'll either do one of two things. Either try to pretend to be like hung up on an actor or somebody that's really hot, like I used to when I was a high school kid and like in college. I had these like crushes on these like actors and things, and I was like Gerard Butler with his Scottish accent, or Ryan Gosling, or Wentworth Miller, or any of those things, because I have the thing for guys with blue eyes and dark hair. And I'm like, okay, but then I'm like, now I'm like, I'm not really into the whole actor thing. I don't watch TV. I don't watch TV shows. I don't watch movies. It's just not a thing for me. So I'm like, who else did I like? So I'm like, well, I could start thinking, and I went back into my journals about, like, I do oracle card readings. Well, I used to. I don't now because life has gotten away from me. And that's another point, actually. And I got away from all that, so I went back to read what I was reading in my oracle card readings and my questions, and I'm thinking, oh, I had a crush on this guy. So let's start thinking about this guy and raising my vibrations, because even when I thought of him, when I read it in the journal, my eyes and my smile came. I'm like, oh yeah, well, that's really cool. And so basically after that, I was like, okay, I'm just going to play this stupid game, because with The Secret, they always say, think about what you want to bring about. And stuff like that. And so I'm like, I'll play the game. I'll see what happens. Not really expecting anything to happen. And actually, that's what I was writing in my journal when all this was going down before I got with my ex now. And I was noticing synchronicities, like little coincidences that happened that, normally wouldn't happen. They just, happened by chance, I guess you could say. So, and then, like, after I got with my now ex, then it didn't happen with that person, because of course I was tied up with the ex now at that time. So after 4 years, I'm like free, single, ready to mingle type of a thing. Whatever. And so I was just sitting here thinking, okay, I'll do that. So I'm like, okay, I had a picture from a while ago, like from before I even was dating this guy, of this other guy that I was like kind of like pining over a little bit, and kind of like it was like a thing, but it wasn't really a thing because it was just like kind of like, I don't know, because there was no communication there. It was just kind of like, like those awkward silences, or those looks across the room, or does he like me or does he not like me? And his actions aren't exactly equaling this out, but then in some days it would. So I'm like getting mixed messages and things. So it was kind of like a wait and see type of a thing. So anyways, I got that picture back out, and I'm thinking, wow, like, yes, he's changed a little, but he hasn't changed hardly at all. Like, same person, same face, kind of like me, got good genes and everything. So I'm like, okay, I'll try this out. Like, even if it's not him that I'm generating or bringing into my life for the next relationship, the manifestation, it's somebody that looks like him, or somebody that's got the same personality, the same attraction that I'm attracted to, the blue eyes, dark hair, that kind of stuff, the chiseled features, that kind of stuff, okay? Because we never know. Sometimes these other people that we were pining over before have taken other free will choices, life choices, and so they're off doing their own thing. So, I'm sorry this is going on a lot longer than I wanted to, but you have to get the backstory first. So, I'm like, okay, so I get that out, and since Wednesday, I've been kind of like doing that and like being like, okay, remembering how I felt when I looked at this person to get my vibe back up there, and that whole giddy like, oh, he looked at me, oh my god, yeah, that's awesome, I'm like, yay, that kind of feeling that raises your vibration so that none of this yuck stays in your system. And so I kept doing it as like a fun little game. And so today, I thought I had to take my car to go get it fixed at one of the shops, not fixed, inspected. So I go, and it's been 4 years since I've seen this guy that I was, it was like weird. Like, I have feelings for, but then I didn't know what was going on, and then I went to the other relationship with the other guy because the guy wasn't giving me the go-ahead. So I was like, okay, this guy is, and so it was just complicated. Anyways. So it's been 4 years, right? So I'm just driving up. I'm like, okay, it's 8 o'clock. I have to drop off the car. Gramps Meals on Meals come at like 10, so I have to be back here by that time, so I'd have to walk back. It's just in the same town, so it's no big deal. We have a bunch of people that are riding bikes and driving around on like scooters that are motorized now, so we get that all the time around here. So that's interesting too. So I'm driving, and then I get up to the one street to turn onto Main Street to get down to the thing. And sure enough, and I'm like, oh, there's a cop car, whatever. I used to look at cop cars and be like, oh, that's a cool cop guy, that's cool, whatever. Oh, I know that police officer, that guy's cool, or that chick, oh, she's the one that used to, like my brother, and it was kind of funny. And I'm like, oh, well, there's that officer that came into Sherwin-Williams. Okay, I know him. And okay, there's this person that I just talked to last Wednesday about a possible restraining order and da-da-da-da. So I know the cops in town. So, and then my older brother used to work, help them during calls and stuff for towing and stuff like that. So I know the cops. It's no big deal. So I always just, like, kind of, like, say, like, hi, or I, like, nod at them when they drive by or whatever. I used to wave, but then when I got with my now ex, like, his energy made it so that I didn't, like, want to, because, like, it's weird when you get into a relationship with somebody else. It's kind of like you get manipulated, or I did, at least, as an empath. I got manipulated into seeing what they saw. So this guy, my ex now, didn't like police, didn't like authority, didn't like any of that. So, like, I stopped waving at police the 4 years I was with him, and I started thinking not so good things about the police and that they're only in it for this, and that, which is totally not what I originally thought. That wasn't my truth. My truth is to respect the rules, regulations, the police, whatever. I mean, my younger brother was going to go for a police course anyways. And my older brother was going to be a canine cop, kind of. But then that kind of went under. So I've always had high respect for law enforcement and things like that, at least here. Now, granted, I'm not going to go into that. There's all these bad apples in the soup and stuff, so, but anyways, I saw the cop car come down, and I'm like, oh, I wonder who's driving around, if it's this cop or that cop, or, if it's that guy, I wonder who's on what shift, because there's a couple new ones that came in that I don't know, so I try to get to understand who's who in case I have to call that I have to use, or something happens and I have to know the officer, because it's just easier that way. So, because then they know your personality, they can, they don't have to judge you right away as if you're trustworthy or not trustworthy, or, any of that. So if you already know the person, then there's like, okay, there you go. So anyway, so I see this, and none other than when I'm driving, and then that person is driving there, it's none other than this guy that I was, like, thinking back on, that I first had feelings for, and I still do, apparently, because I started tearing up a little bit in the car, and I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, that's interesting. So, my point basically is that I was thinking about this person for, like, the last week, just being, like, trying to raise my vibration, not thinking of anything, like, necessarily gonna go anywhere with it, just being, like, trying to, like, use it to make myself feel better, to be happy again, not to pine over what went wrong in the last one. And then I'm like, okay, and then sure enough, after 4 years of not seeing this person at all, anywhere, and he's in my town, and he's a cop, so normally he'd be driving around somewhere or something. Actually, for a while there, I thought maybe he got transferred out, and that's why I wasn't seeing him there. And he used to follow me around in stores, too, and he used to have this huge-ass crush on me when I was on the bowling team with him, too, so it was actually quite interesting. So it was the first time I actually saw him in 4 years, and I was just like, wow, and seeing him not, and all that stuff with the emotion stuff, that's not my point. My point is the fact that I saw him after all this, like, just a week of thinking about the positivity, and it made me realize what you think about is actually what you bring about. And that is a case in point right there. Basically, I manifested that encounter because I was thinking about it. So that also goes to the point where if you're thinking about negative things, if you're thinking about fear, if you're thinking about getting sick, if you're thinking about all these negative tone things, you're going to manifest those negative things. Okay? If you start thinking about how fun things are, how you can do this, and even though with these pandemic restraints, basically you can still see the silver lining. You can be like, oh, I still have this, and hey, I'm still gonna do this. And as long as you're doing something that's keeping you, like, kind of happy at home, or even whatever, and you're just focusing on that whatever it is to make you happy, regardless of whether or not it's kind of, like, gonna happen in the future or not. Like, if you want this one item, like, say a ring or something for a woman or something, or a car for a guy, and then you just keep focusing on it, and then you finally actually manifest it into your life. Like, you're able to, like, get the money to buy the car, or you can trade it for something else that you have, or if you get the money to buy that ring, or you get some extra funds or something, however it goes, because we never know about the energy in the universe. We just know that we want that item and that we're manifesting it, and if it's for our best and highest good, it will manifest. Or the little signs, like the coincidences, well, if it's a person, it'd be like all of a sudden like seeing them on a corner after so long, like my incidents here. Or like if it's an item, it'd be like somebody talking about it randomly in a conversation that has nothing to do with that item. Like these little hints, and they're like signposts saying that you're on the right track. Now, I was also reading my book, and I've had actually a couple of psychic readings myself, which I'm going to go to another one next month, because with the pandemic, we couldn't do the meetups like we were before. And I was told before, when I was choosing between these two guys, which one to choose, they didn't want to lead me on to see which one was chose, because I have free will. So if they say, oh, you should choose this person, and I went with what they said, that means it's impeding on my free will. So it's not my choice that I made, it's my choice based on what they said, and that's not free will. So they didn't tell me which one was what they could see through spirit, which one was the better one. So I chose, and of course I didn't choose like for my highest good, because I was also feeling the lack and frustration being here. And I wanted instant gratification, basically. I wanted the relationship now. I wanted to get out from under here. And so I didn't think things through, and I didn't feel it with my intuition. I mean, I felt it with my intuition, but then all these other people were getting involved between the triangle dynamic thing, or the three people that were involved. And I was told one thing, and I latched onto that, and it was what drew me away. Okay? So it was also what, like, if I listened to the rumors. Back then I did. I listened to the rumors that someone had said I was stalking this person, and I didn't want them to know that I was stalking them, or to think that that was the point, or whatever, have anything like that have truth to it. So I stopped even going to the events that I had enjoyed, just to prove that that wasn't me, whoever it was. And then I found out later that it was a manipulation tactic by this one girl who was trying to just ruin everybody's lives, not even just mine, just everybody, basically. And she had her own agenda about having him get back together with his then ex of like a couple days or something. I don't know what's going on, because I didn't know the relationship. Anyway, but then after I got with my now ex, she also tried to usurp that as well. So she is a bona fide negative entity. I can guarantee that one. I actually also had an instance with her that I ended up talking to her, and she was selling an essential oil that was a competitor to my company, and I knew it, and I was just being nice and stuff, and I'm like, okay, but I knew the oils weren't superior, and I knew they weren't going to benefit me at all, because the one company that actually does benefit me is the one I'm with, hence why I stay with it, because it doesn't flare up my allergies and stuff. So I'm talking with her, and then by the end of the conversation, she's like ready to sign me up with this kit, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, whoa, because my other friend came over and be like, what are you doing, and woke me up out of like this spell. And I've never had an incident like that where somebody actually puts a spell type of over you. So and as the years have gone on, she actually ended up divorcing the guy, my now ex's brother. I know it's all this craziness, and she's just a negative entity. And the guy that I was pining over before I got into the relationship was friends with her. And I just, every time I keep thinking, oh, please be safe from her. Do not. I mean, granted, he's a police officer and he's got Archangel Michael to protect him and stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be that free will, that he's not going to be easily manipulated into something that's not of his highest good. So I just was all like, okay, she can play a good game and do all this stuff, but she's just, and maybe she didn't like my light, because I have really high spiritual light, and I'm very, I guess, intimidating, sometimes, but not in a bad way, in a good way. But it's just interesting. So basically my point is that what you think about, you bring about. So if you're thinking about all these negative things, and you're based in on fear, and you don't know, you're going to bring that in. The next couple days to a week, you're going to manifest that, okay? Sometimes you hear these signposts right within the moment, within the day that you think about it. Sometimes it takes a week. All depends on how big the thing is that you want to manifest, and how many obstacles are in the way for the universe to move things around, so it actually becomes fluid, so that you can manifest it in your own life. So that was just an interesting thing, and I just wanted to say that that's actually what was happening with me. Kind of like how I had the game of, like, when you're at a stoplight, you just kind of manifest it to go green, or like while you're going up to the stoplight, then you manifest it to go green by the time you get to the end of the street. Little things like that. It's really fun. But Mercury retrograde's coming up real soon, and it starts October 14th, so it's going to be a lot of time to go inside and internalize and rethink things, reevaluate life, do a lot of all that kind of stuff. Don't do a lot of big things that are happening with, like, buying new items, getting a new job, or any of that. Just wait it out, for a little bit there. All right, so I just want to pop on here and say that's the interesting thing that I do. And I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep thinking about this person. I'm going to see where it goes. Maybe the universe will bring somebody, if that person is not available at this moment, then maybe the universe will bring me somebody similar, very similar, so that, that will be a manifestation. Maybe if this person's not available at this point, then maybe something will happen where if it's for the greater good of both of us, then it'll manifest that way. I don't know. If that person is in a great place, then that's all good, and then I'll just manifest whatever positivity is needed for me at this time. So it's all kind of like stepping back, not having it to have to go your specific way, and just letting it be, and just being in the moment and in the feeling of joy and life and love and happiness. And we're coming up on the holiday seasons, so that's when we're kind of going to be doing a lot of interesting things here now too. So I'm going to keep this up, and I will keep you updated with how it turns out and what weird little things are going to manifest, because already within a week, a sighting, which is interesting, after 4 years of nothing. Because, of course, in those 4 years, I never thought of him, really. So why would he manifest if I'm not thinking about that? All I was thinking about is all the things that were going wrong in the relationship I was currently in, all the things, and then, of course, that would manifest into more things happening and more things being wrong and, and the like. So by me getting out of that and not being around all that drama and all that negativity, I am now being surrounded by more positivity. Less stress, less hiccups, so to speak, in life and things like that. And I'm enjoying myself better. Like, I'm enjoying my surroundings. I'm with my cat now. I'm enjoying my cat. Even the full year that I was here when I was supposed to break up with him originally, and it didn't happen because I kept getting dragged back in because I just had this, I'm like, oh, I can help him. And it's never that you can help the person. The person's got to help themselves. And I'm learning that right now. Life lesson. Hardcore. Woohoo. But I also had to learn to be manipulated so I can now see it, so I can help those who are being manipulated. Case in point, the girl that comes here to help. She's got some of that kind of aspects with the relationship she's in now too, and she doesn't have the self-esteem to get out of it. Whereas I didn't either, but I saw something in it, and then by going to work and not being all up in that relationship, it helped me to, like, kind of get out of that. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to say. It was a cute little random sighting from what happened in the other one. And some people could be like, oh, that's just a coincidence and stuff. But I don't believe in coincidences. I never have. Everything manifests for a reason. And whether or not it's a lesson we have to learn about what we don't want, or a lesson we want to learn about what we do want, and not to be grateful for it and not to, like, squander that. Those are also big lessons in this 3D, 4D realm here. And with it being in the 4D now, we're manifesting a lot faster stuff. So it's actually really cool. All right, I will let you guys go. Love, light, and blessings, everybody. Namaste. I will see you later.